Back here on CBS Sports HQ, the sports world moves quick, right? Because the women's Final Four, the Natty, that just wrapped up. And now we're already looking ahead to the WNBA draft. Just 3 days to go until the next generation of stars and the W head to Hudson Yards in New York City. Getting a look at the current draft order. The Dallas Wings, you are on the clock. And of course, the overall consensus is that Paige Bueckers is going to go #1 overall in that slot. And we have Tykera Carter joining us here to go down her very latest mock draft. We're talking about Paige Bueckers at the top, right, adding national championship to her resume. Now it is basically a surefire thing, Tykera, that she's going to go #1 overall to the Dallas Wings.
Correct. I mean, she has the most star power in this draft for 2025. And to just see the way she was able to overcome adversity throughout her career. She had 2 ACLs in which she had torn, bounced back. She had the opportunity where she could have gone back to Connecticut, but the job has been finished for her, winning that national championship this year. She's a prolific scorer where she can get to her spots and knock down shots at will. She's proven to be a leader with Connecticut throughout her years, and she is just such a fun player and deserving of the #1 spot just because of her abilities to play on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, it made that national championship so much sweeter, right, when you consider all the injuries that she has dealt with in the past. Now, it feels like the draft really starts here at #2, where the Seattle Storm, they have the pick. A bit of a twist, Olivia Miles, committing to TCU, foregoing the draft despite being projected as the likely #2 overall pick. So with that in mind, which way does Seattle pivot to now?
So I think they go international, which they have experience with, which is Dominique Malonga. She comes from France. She's 6'6". She's drawn comparisons to Wemby, but I've seen in interviews, if you ask her, like, we're both just from France. But if you look at our games and stuff, it's different, and she just wants to be herself. But we could see this as a turning point. Seattle, they were good last year, of course, with Nneka Ogwumike on their roster. Skylar Diggins-Smith, they will no longer have Jewell Loyd, who is now with the Las Vegas Aces. So I could see this as being a growth for her at 19 years old, entering the league, alongside Ezi Magbegor, who they already have from Australia. And so bringing in another player who has that experience playing overseas with the national team, I think will be great for the league. And also she'll bring over that star power like that of a Wemby, in which he did for the NBA.
Yeah, and that pick was traded to the Storm, and you kind of referenced it here as part of that 3-team trade that sent Jewell Loyd to the Aces, and then Kelsey Plum, of course, out to LA. Let's go to #3 and 4, if you will, because it brings us to the Mystics. Currently in rebuilding mode, they have a new coach, a new general manager. They have 3 of the top 6 picks. So what do they do at 3 and 4 first?
So I feel like this is interchangeable. Like you said, it could go either way with Sonia Citron or Kiki Iriefin from USC. But first, we're going to just go with Sonia Citron, who 6'1". She plays on the wing. This is very fitting because the Washington Mystics just lost Ariel Atkins to a trade where she's now with the Chicago Sky. And so that was their 2019 WNBA champion on that team. Now you can go a different direction with another wing who can get to the basket, two-way player who also is a great rim protector. And I think for a rebuilding team, you bring in a high IQ guard who is going to play on the wing and help you out in that area where they got skinny due to losing Atkins.
And we'll get to the #6 pick in just a moment. But first, we have some history being made with the first draft in Golden State Valkyries history, which I kind of feel like you have to have a little bit of pressure right here. If you're the brass for the Valkyries, what do we do with this first ever pick? What direction do you have them going?
So I have them going international as well. And I say this based off of the fact that their expansion draft, it was a little underwhelming with the pieces that they got. So why don't you go the direction of trying to get a 19-year-old from Lithuania, which in this case would be Jocyte, and she is prolific. I think this could be a chance for them to, in a sense, get an anomaly when it comes to building up a franchise and a player that is going to be fun to watch from Lithuania. So you think Luka, in a sense, right? A franchise player who could come over at a young age and make something out of nothing so far. And we say nothing on paper because they won't play their first game until May for the first time in franchise history. So I think this could be a good get for them.
I love it whether we're talking about the NBA or the W. We're talking more and more about international players that are being drafted and developed and making a difference. It's really cool to see for the game of basketball. All right, we are at number 6, which brings us back to the Mystics. You have them taking Shyanne Sellers. What does she bring to this team?
I think Shyanne Sellers would be a great draft pick for the Washington Mystics because she's a local kid. So played at Maryland, is going to already have sort of that fan base behind her to go over to the bridge in Southeast to watch her play as well. And she's also just dynamic in scoring as well. She has length, she plays on the wing, and she also has that toughness that you need when you think about rebuilding a franchise.
All right, moving along to number 7. We're just kind of recapping there the Mystics picks in the mock draft. Just a little briefing here, but going to 7 for the Connecticut Sun, also in a rebuilding situation here, and you have them taking Aneesah Morrow, someone who led D1 in rebounding and double-doubles with 30 this season, while also averaging, right around 18 points per game. How much is she going to change what they're doing there in Connecticut?
So when I see Morrow, I think Alyssa Thomas. And Alyssa Thomas is no longer with the Connecticut Sun. She's now with the Phoenix Mercury. And so she can bring that it factor and that toughness that they need in rebuild mode, and also be a sponge and learn from a tough opponent, and who would be her teammate in Tina Charles with the Connecticut Sun. And so I think Morrow is going to be a person who can bring splashes of that stardom and it girl to the team. And she's also a dynamic rebounder. She plays with a lot of grit coming from a Kim Mulkey program. And even before at DePaul, she was the rebounding and double-double queen. And I think that is what you need when you're talking about a team who completely had to disperse and find new homes for their players. This will be a great opportunity for her.
So if the Sun take Aneesah Morrow at 7, they also have the number 8 pick. So what direction would they go if they do take Morrow at 7 with that number 8 pick?
So I'm going to say Saniya Rivers out of NC State. That's a guard who's going to play on the wing and be able to stretch the floor, but also a guard that has the ability to get to the lane at ease. Super athletic, and they have Diamond DeShields on their roster currently, and I think that is a player that Saniya Rivers could learn from as far as being able to take the hits and the bumps at the next level.
So at number 9, we had the Sparks. We already mentioned Kelsey Plum, who is now there. You have Te-Hina Paopao that is going to take her talents to LA. Tell us more about this pairing.
I love Te-Hina Paopao as a floor spacer. And so when I look at the dynamic of the roster that the Los Angeles Sparks currently have, you have Kelsey Plum, who is going to get to her spots and score it at 3 levels. You have Rickea Jackson already coming into year 2, who is a wing who can get downhill to the basket and score. But Te-Hina, she can shoot the rock. And so I think that could be another person who can come into the franchise and be a reliable catch and shooter for them when you already have guards who specialty is getting downhill to the rim and score. She has that factor where, yes, if you run her off the 3-point line, she can score on the inside, but she shot nearly 40% from beyond the 3-point line at South Carolina.
Yeah, and going to back-to-back natties in South Carolina with Dawn Staley. We got 3 more picks to go to. Number 10 brings us to the Chicago Sky. What do you have them doing here with that number 10 overall pick?
I like Georgia Amoore here, and I like Georgia Amoore because she is a high IQ pass-first guard. You need somebody who is going to be able to get the ball inside to Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso, and she can learn from Courtney Vandersloot, who is going back to the Chicago Sky, coming off of a championship with the New York Liberty, and Courtney Vandersloot also won one with the Chicago Sky as well. And so when I look at that, I see that Amoore is one who can get her own shot off, but she's also looking to get her teammates involved. Her size has been in question. She stands at about 5'8", and so the perfect player to kind of be able to soak into within that is Courtney Vandersloot, who has been able to navigate the league at her size as well.
Yeah, and there's certain statistical categories where she's in the same boat as Caitlin Clark and Sabrina Ionescu, which is certainly great company to be. Let's talk about the Lynx at number 11, and you have them going with Sarah Ashlee Barker out of Bama. And a lot of folks, Tykera, are saying that she could be a sleeper in this upcoming draft.
Yeah. She went off. I mean, going back to her last game in the second round of the NCAA tournament, lost an absolute heartbreaker to Maryland, but she finished her college career with 45 points. And to me, that has Cheryl Reeves written all over it because she likes those players that are tough, who can answer the call. You think about the Minnesota Lynx roster over the years, I see her as a player who could take after Alana Smith maybe, and maybe putting her in the category of Lindsay Whalen. Could be crazy to some, but I say that from a standpoint of just being a person who can step up, meet the moment, hit big shots when you need her. And I think that is what the franchise of the Minnesota Lynx kind of resemble, especially coming off of where they went to the WNBA finals and they lost. They could have some more depth on their bench, and I think she's a piece who could fit in from an adaptability standpoint. And she also has that 4-year experience where she played at Georgia and then transferred to Bama for her last years.
Yeah, and I was really impressed with her composure and just the way she was speaking to the media after that heartbreaking loss that you mentioned there during the tournament. Finally, we're back here at number 12 with the Dallas Wings. So if you are the Wings and you get a talent like Paige Bueckers at number 1, what is the move here at number 12?
Serena Sundell, and I say Serena Sundell because she can stretch the floor. I also like the factor with her is like the Dallas Wings are a completely different team as well. The
WNBA draft is just 3 days away out of New York City. Getting a look at the odds to be number 1 overall, and we talked about it. Paige Bueckers, the heavy favorite at minus 20,000. She would be the 6th player to win the title in the NCAA and then also be selected number 1 overall in the same year. If it does go that way, which it looks like it is, she'd be the first to do so since Stewie did it back in 2016.